Good afternoon, everybody. Nice looking crowd. Nice looking crowd. So thank you, Ajit, for allowing the PAC Alliance to speak this afternoon. My wife, Jerry Phelps, founder of PAC Alliance, has very recently been very sick. As a matter of fact, she just came home last night after spending 5 glorious days at the hospital. And I'm about to deliver the words that she wrote before she became ill. And then when I've finished this presentation, and I've heard from Kathleen Dale, who's going to speak next, I'm going to sneak out the back and go home and take care of my lovely wife. So with that, let me begin. These are her words. Yes, sir. Thank you. The PAC Alliance, PAC, a group of local residents, is working to ensure our community has a voice by exercising our constitutional right to force the City Council to undo their decision regarding the multiple warehouse development known as Sunset Crossroads. Zoning for most of this large parcel of land was designated as residential, not industrial. The developers knew that when they bought the land. They chose to move forward with their project, assuming that if they offered enough incentives, I put that in quotation marks, for the welfare of the city of Banning, and invested enough money, the zoning would eventually be changed in their favor. At this point, it looks as their incentives have prevailed. Zoning refers to the rules and regulations that define how land is to be used by a city and in that city. These rules ensure compatible land use. They ensure and protect property values, support community goals. For example, zoning determines whether an area is designated for residential homes, businesses, or industrial facilities. It is an implied contract and should not be arbitrarily changed or sold for the price of incentives. The vision plan for Banning, part of the general plan, was disrespected by the City Council. As a result, families will have the rug pulled out from under their financial future. By approving Sunset Crossroads, the City Council has disregarded the zoning codes and the protections of homeowners. The look of the residential communities in and around where these multiple industrial warehouses are to be located will be forever changed. There will be 7 in total, 5.5 million square feet of warehouses, 2 of which are each over 1 million square foot giants. The health, comfort, and safety of the nearby residents will most certainly be compromised. There will be 1,700 plus, let me repeat, there will be 1,700 plus truck trips daily. Air quality issues, particulates, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, sound, and light pollution, significant and unavoidable environmental impacts that personally will affect us all. I want to stress light pollution. The folks that live in this area will probably say goodbye to ever seeing stars again. And I don't even want to imagine the additional traffic at the inadequate ramps to and from the 10 freeway at Sunset. Yet, so far as we know, there are no plans by Caltrans, the city, or the developer to provide for road improvements. Furthermore, 18-wheelers will undoubtedly be using undesignated truck routes south of Lincoln. The PAC Alliance, PAC, has chosen to take part in a constitutional process known as a referendum. We have the right to take matters out of the city council's hands, to either have them rescind their decision by petition or give it back to the people of Banning to vote on with the ballot. However, the referendum process has a very short, specific timeline to initiate action. Donations then become our biggest issue to pay for attorneys and advisory fees, publishing petitions, administrative costs, etc. And since time is of the essence, the clock starts running tonight, April 14th. We must be prepared. We need about $50,000, plus or minus, a far smaller sum than was required by the PAC action group that successfully prevented the building of a warehouse across from the main gate. And we have Randy Robbins' blessing, as well as the support of each of the 4 individuals that formerly comprised the Sun Lakes Board of Directors. Kathleen Dale and Jerry were both planning commissioners. They resigned upon the actions taken by the City Council. The loss of Kathleen to the Planning Commission is immeasurable, as she really knows her stuff. She is a retired city planner and environmental consultant. Kathy has put this PAC on its feet in record time. Collaborating with them is Chris Robles. I'll pronounce it correctly. You stick with me. Now, it was also acting as the advisor to both Jerry and to Kathleen, and who also, Chris did, worked with Yucaipa in their very successful effort to put aside a warehouse development in that city. We have flyers, a summary of the referendum process, an overview of the Sunset Crossroads project, and donation forms with us today. So please stop by the table to talk with Kathy and to pick up any information you might choose to take home with you. So, in the next few days, please call Jerry, or me, what the heck, it's my house too. Her phone number is on the flyer for questions or to make arrangements for dropping off a donation. Money is our #1 priority to stop this warehouse development. It is a moment shaped not by individuals alone, but by neighbors coming together with care, intention, and a shared vision for tomorrow. Again, thank you. And now, I'd like to turn this meeting over to Kathleen Dale, who will present her PowerPoint presentation. Kathleen Dale. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert, and send our best to Jerry. As Robert indicated, my name is Kathleen Dale, and until March the 10th, I was the chair of the Planning Commission. I promptly resigned on the 11th when the council took the action that they took. And I think for those of you that followed the 2024 election, you know, I mean, we did not plan to have to challenge this project at all because many of us felt we had worked to put a council in place that was not going to make such a horrible decision. And so actually that night I wrote my resignation letter. Monday morning I submitted it, and then later Monday morning I got on the phone. And it took me a few days to find Chris, and once we got in touch with him, we got things rolling. But I mean, literally, it's 1 month to the day that we've gotten things pulled together and to the point where we are. You know, Chris, do you mind? I forgot to bring the pointer so I can change the slides. Thank you. All right, so we're here today to talk about a referendum against the Sunset Crossroads project. And this matters to all of us in this room. It matters to all of the people in the city of Banning. It matters to most of the people in the greater Pass area because this project will substantially affect our quality of life. And as Robert mentioned, the air quality, the noise environment, what you're able to see of the mountains now, because these buildings are going to block these 60 and 80-foot tall buildings are going to block those views. The safety on our roads, again, general safety with the additional truck traffic in the area, and our health and our wealth, because property values will be affected. And again, this process matters because it's the way for us to ensure that our voice is heard. And again, people who followed the process, the public involvement during the 5-year hearing process was overwhelmingly, public comment was overwhelmingly in opposition to this project. So they didn't listen to us with their votes as a city council, but they will have to listen to us with our voices and our signatures on referendum petitions. Okay, so what we want to do today is just give you a brief overview of the project, talk about what it means to the community, about where we are in the process, and about how you can help. And again, as Robert indicated, this only works if we all come together. And by coming together, we'll make sure that our voices are heard. So this is a flyer is this one of the ones that you brought, Tara? Okay, and I'm going to circle back because Robert didn't include Tara in the introductions. And for those of you who know Tara, she is a Sun Lakes resident, and Tara Hagee, and she is also part of the Pass Alliance with Jerry and I. And she has basically put together all of these informational flyers. She is amazing and has kept us organized and on top of things. So she is a great asset to the group. So I won't go over this, but this flyer is available that basically tells you about the project. There's two components. There's what's called Sunset Crossroads, which is the industrial development, because the developer and the city are touting the commercial elements, but there are 48 acres of commercial. There is 400 acres of industrial. It is an industrial project. And then there's a second element, which is a city-initiated residential rezoning, which your neighbors over in Serrano del Vista are a little bit more concerned about because under state law, because they're taking land from a residential designation to an industrial designation, they're required to put that lost residential density somewhere else in the city. And so they are taking the almost 400 acres now that's designated for homes at 5 to 20 units to the acre and putting it all on 40 acres, the unused portion of the college site at Westward and Sunset at 30 units to the acre. And then the last thing I want to say about the project, and again, everybody thinks it's approved, but actually tonight will be the final action that will make it approved. So it's not quite approved yet. And there are some of us who are going to be going down to the council meeting tonight to one more time just say, this is your last chance to do the right thing. So we're going to give it one more shot. But I think we're probably all realists and know what will likely happen. All right, so this is a picture of what the project looked like when they started the process. And if you can see the large red numbers here, those are all the industrial buildings. There were 10 of them originally. Yeah, if you look to the left of the screen, all those little tiny boxes, that's Sun Lakes. And look at the two big buildings down in the south. That's one building. Oh. Ajit's, yeah, so these buildings, just take that building and move it over here. It covers the whole distance of all the homes on the east side of Sun Lakes. That's how massive those buildings are. And these two buildings are allowed to be 60 feet tall under the specific plan, plus another 10 feet on top for solar arrays or air conditioners, any kind of roof-mounted equipment they want to put. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is this is a two-dimensional drawing. Sorry, let me go back. This is two-dimensional. They are going to be grading this site, and some places they are lowering as much as 30 feet. Some places they are raising as much as 30 feet. So you really have to like dig into the details to figure out, what you would actually possibly see. So this next slide shows, I think part of the difficulty with this project and what I tried to impress upon the council at the first decision hearing on the 10th is that they and the public really don't know what we're getting. And these are 3 different diagrams that were presented at the decision-making hearing. The one with all the purple here, that is the specific plan drawing. So the green is open space, most of which is the drainages, the natural drainages. The red is commercial, and that's all existing. That is already zoned commercial. And then the purple is all industrial, and that is now all currently residential. So the middle drawing here is the revisions. So they've made some changes to the plan, or they've represented that they've made some changes to the plan to move buildings and uses away from the Sun Lake's edge here, and to take this is approximately another 45 acres to make that commercial instead of industrial. And then this third drawing was the exhibit that the developer showed, which is very similar to the middle one, but again, using the green, they were giving people the false impression that all of this land is going to stay as open space, and that's not the case. Again, according to the specific plan document and the development agreement, which the specific plan is a 150-page document, text that goes along with this diagram to explain what uses are allowed and the development criteria for those uses. The development agreement is a 115-page document, which is basically a contract between the city and the developer that gives the developer the right to proceed under existing provisions for 30 years. It details the incentives that they're offering, and also it details commitments that the city is making to not impede their development. So these are larger versions, which we can have to go back to in case there are questions later. What I want to talk to you about is, I actually pulled up the specific language from the development plan. So for planning area 2, they're representing that that's going to be commercial instead of industrial. The action that they will take tonight will rezone that land to industrial. It will be industrially designated. And all that they are committing to is that they will come forward within 6 months to submit a general plan and a specific plan and zone change amendment to rezone that to commercial. But they recognize in here that, sorry, I'm going to get the buttons down right, that neither the city or the owner can say how that's going to turn out. So it's just an empty promise. We don't know how that will turn out. For planning area 7, which is the one that's up towards the freeway east of Sun Lakes, so they've said that they're not going to put any buildings there, but what they've actually said is that they're not going to construct a warehouse, so that is good, that's a concession. But it says they're not going to commence any industrial uses, and they use this term LI, which is not used anywhere else in the record. So I don't know what that means. It's not in the specific plan. So again, and I do have the list of the permitted uses here, and you can see what else is allowed. I think that under this, for instance, the trailer storage yard that they said they weren't going to put on the Sun Lakes frontage closest to Sun Lakes, they could put this trailer storage yard up here in number 7 instead, under the plan. And again, and that's all they've agreed to for Area 8 is not to do the trailer storage yard. So any other permitted uses in the industrial zone under the specific plan are allowed. This was just a summary to show you how they've changed the project since the beginning. So they started out with 5.5 million square feet of buildings. They did an intermediate reduction down to a little over 5 million. Now they've done a reduction down to what they're saying is about 4.75 million. But they've only gotten rid of 3 of the smaller buildings. The massive buildings are still there. They've done some monkeying around with the uses. The EIR actually looks at the 5.54 million and also looks at up to 3,300 truck trips a day. And then the other thing that's interesting that they really don't, take ownership of is they've actually reduced the commercial square footage. And again, the developer and the city are promoting the commercial uses that are going to be part of this project, and they've actually reduced that element. And again, half of it, there's no assurance that it's going to come. Okay, and this is just another exhibit that we've got that just highlights the size of the buildings. So again, you've got 2 over 1 million square feet. The Skechers warehouse that's sitting empty out on the east end of town is just 1 million square feet. So these buildings are 30 and 40% larger than that. This building in the middle is almost the same size. This building can be up to 80 feet tall. The rest of the building's only 60.
Can you be able to point the laser onto where Sun Lakes Boulevard is going to be extended?
Yeah, this is the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension right here. And this is where they said they would take away the trailer storage. And this is where it's unclear what they've taken away. They've taken the building off the diagram, but it's still zoned industrial and it still has permitted uses.
Question. When you talk about trailer storage, are you talking about RVs or
Truck trailers, yeah. Yes?
Could you go back to the slide just before this, please?
Whoops, let me go the right way.
Yeah, what's with the go-kart racing, the rock climbing, the trampoline park?
Well, again, those were things that they had put in. I don't know if you remember the PR campaign that the developer did very early on, and they had all kinds of little pictures, and they were touting this kind of stuff. And they had like a online place where you could go to click a button and say you want more information about the project. Well, just by clicking on that button, they were taking your email address and information and sending a support letter to the city. And people still think this is what they're going to get. And they've taken it away.
All the rest, the sit-down restaurant, fast?
Yeah, again, they've collapsed that down to, mostly fast food places.
And that's just, they hope they can get those people in.
I think they were doing it just to manipulate the traffic numbers.
and the hotel?
The hotel is still part of it, and that would be up in the existing commercial area, according to the layout they have now. But under the specific plan, it would be allowed in any commercial area. So if that second piece did get rezoned to commercial, it could go there as well.
Who's the developer?
The developer, they're using an LLC for this development. They call NP Banning LLC. It's quite a large industrial developer called North Point Development. North Point is all run together, capital N, capital P, and they're out of Kansas City, Missouri. But they're doing quite a few projects in Southern California right now. They have one in Lancaster as well, and they have 2 over in the Lake Elsinore area, one that's in the city and one that's in the county. All right, and then this diagram is just another one for us to have for reference, but it does show where this is the rezoning for the residential. So this is Serrano del Vista, and then this is a little subdivision called Peacock Valley 2. And so they're planning all of this, it's outlined in red. That will no longer be designated for the college use. It's a public facilities designation. They're going to designate it for very high-density residential, which allows 30 units to the acre and up to 5-story buildings. And then again, this just, you can see the size of these buildings in relation to, I mean, this is, I'm sorry, I don't live in Sun Lake, so I don't know the road names, but, you know, look at the length of that road. If you live there, that building is as long as your whole road.
They're going to be right beside the road?
Well, that building is a distance away. There's a little enclave right here that's not part of the project where these little ranches are now. That area is not part of the project. So that will, the way they've got it now, that will be a county enclave there within the city limits.
The hill to the ranches?
No, not for the development, because they don't control being able to annex that. So the property boundary goes like this. And then over.
It's all on this side of Sunset?
Yes, this is Sunset right here. And the conditions of approval and the circulation plan in the specific plan requires that all the trucks use Sunset, which, you know, I mean, that's better for Sun Lakes if it's enforced. This is the problem, is the city has to enforce it. And you can talk to the people who live out on the east end of town about the city's commitment to enforcing their municipal code and conditions on conditional use permits for cannabis uses that are out there, because those people deal with the stench of it all the time. Okay.
What was that little blue mark up there?
That is the park. So part of the project is a 12-acre park, and so that's where the park is. They did a lot to try to buffer the edge of Sun Lakes, I have to admit that. But still, the size and scale of these buildings, and I think you guys probably know how sound, you know, the sound from the freeway and the sound from the railroad tracks, it bounces off the hills on each side. It's just like an echo chamber here. And so these buildings, the activity that happens around them with the trucks coming and going, with workers coming and going, with the dollies out in the yard area, with the forklifts, there's just a constant buzz of activity that you will probably actually hear it as well, just because of how sound carries around here and the lay of the land in between.
May I interject? If you look on the far right side of the screen, that's the
there.
Skechers warehouse.
That's the Skechers.
And you can obviously, that's pretty large, and the two on the bottom will be 0.5 bigger.
Yeah, this building's a little wider, but yeah. And these configurations aren't set. Sorry?
Is it still unused?
The city claims that it's being used. I tried to look online. I found a restoration company, you know, that does cleanups after you have a burst pipe or whatever, is apparently leasing one of the warehouse. Because usually what they do with these buildings is they make a little office in each corner so that the building can be split up. And it looks like there's a company like that. I know some people post on Facebook that they see trucks going in and out of there. But
I took a drive by there on a Saturday a couple weeks ago, and there were empty trailers sitting in dock, but no activity. So that could just be a ruse. So we don't really know for sure. One other thing I did want to mention about the size of the warehouses that are currently planned is they're equivalent to 80 football fields. Yes. In total. The 4.75, which that's what they say that they're going to build, is equivalent to 80 football fields. The commercial space is equivalent to 4 football fields. So that's just a good ratio and comparison of what we are sacrificing for commercial if we move through with this. And I think that that's not viable.
I think the other point is that the sacrifice isn't necessary. And in fact, what the council is allowing themselves to be held hostage, because this is already zoned commercial. This is where this coveted secret big box store they say they have under contract is going to be the first one to go, but the development agreement says they only have to start construction within 3 years. And that is already commercial, and the city and the developer, if they were being cooperative, could be moving forward on that without this business being held hostage to get all of this industrial zoning. And I know that sounds harsh, but that is what it is. Good? All right. So just real quickly, the project makes a bunch of promises. It promises jobs, promises gobs and gobs and gobs of money, about $20 million, maybe even a little bit more if you consider the price of the value of the property they're donating for the fire station and the electric substation and the water tank and the reverse osmosis station. It promises a fire station, and it promises retail commercial development. But the reality is, and we all know this, the quality and the number of the jobs, Banning deserves better. The money that they're offering is pretty much tied to the industrial development progress. There's an initial payment of $3 million that is required within 60 days of the final approval. And there's another payment of $2.5 million that's required within 6 months. After that, all of the payments are tied to some threshold number of square feet of industrial space or issuance of an industrial grading plan. Also, again, what's not made clear to people is the specific plan allows modifications to the project to be done under an administrative approval. So they can shift around the planning areas, they can shift around the building configurations, they can actually increase intensity by up to 10% without having to come back. And the way things are structured, pretty much this whole project could be built out without another public hearing for any of those massive buildings. And again, we talked about the commercial, what is committed to is only what's already zoned commercial. And again, the reality is that, they're talking about all of the financial incentives that this project is going to bring, but there are going to be diminished residential property values for quite a few people in Sun Lakes and Serrano del Vista for sure. Probably anybody who, uses Sunset for access. And then obviously just the general quality of life, and how do you put a price on that? And again, just kind of to sum up, when the council was making their final statements on the 10th, basically everybody was falling back on these short-term benefits, this money that's going to come, and these promises, which are not certain. And those are those promises and benefits are being inflated, whereas the long-term consequences, which really are more severe, are just being, well, we have to do that because we have to have progress, and we need money. And I think if you have time, and if you ever look at the city meetings, just take the time to go watch the last 10 minutes of the recording for the March 10th council meeting, and listen to the 5 council members explain how they, why they were going to vote the way they did. It's very eye-opening.
Did our representative vote for it?
Your representative was the only one who did not, and the only one who clearly understood the record and the consequences. Okay, so now we're going to talk go ahead.
What prevents an owner from selling one of those warehouses for an ICE detention center?
I'm not sure that anything does. The permitted uses have a category for public facilities and public safety facilities in the industrial zone. It doesn't specifically talk about jails or, I'm trying to think what other term they would use for them, but Yeah, but I mean, in a zoning code, they would use another euphemism for, which I can't think off the top of my head, but I think that it's possibly something that could be considered to be a permitted use. And again, one of the provisions of the plan is that the community development director is given discretion to make interpretations. So any of the, I think it's a 6-page document that lists all the permitted uses. It's just a list by name. He can decide that something else is comparable and that it's permitted, and that can be done administratively.
Just as a tie into that, what about data centers?
The data centers are specifically listed as a permitted use. Yeah,
Those are bad.
yeah.
My son is running for council member for the city of Covina. And that's one of the biggest things that's really hurting me, because they're going around asking people if they want to sell the property. So that's what's so sad, is that those data centers, believe me, people think that they're just for computers. They are a pollutant to the environment, period. Do you think the diesels are? Data centers will be 20 times worse. And as far as detention centers,
Yes, sir?
Where Sunset, or excuse me, where Sun Lakes Boulevard stops, and whatever they're gonna call it when it goes across,
It's still going to be called Sun Lakes Boulevard, went from Highland Home, and it's going to connect in at Westward.
and are they not going to allow these big trucks?
The commitments say trucks will not go west of Highland Home on Sun Lakes. And they have incorporated a structure just east of Highland Home to keep trucks from coming west. But again, it's going to be an issue of enforcement, and there's lots of other ways for trucks to enter, Sun Lakes Boulevard from Highland Springs. And so I don't think you can, I think you're not being realistic if you think that there aren't going to be trucks that end up on, they're not going to be sanctioned, but they're most likely to turn up on Sun Lakes Boulevard.
I was going to say, we already know that trucks go down Sun Lakes Boulevard for Albertsons. I've seen them come all the way down to Highland Home and park right at that intersection because it's blocked off and it's a place they can stay overnight. So, there's nothing that is guaranteed in them from coming down Sun Lakes.
Will Sun Lakes Boulevard be 2 or 4 lanes extension?
The extension is 4 lanes.
If you look at Highway 79, which is Beaumont, and you have large diesel trucks coming off I-10, getting off at Beaumont, or coming up Highway 79 from Hemet. And let's assume for the moment they make a right turn on First Street, which then becomes Sun Lake Boulevard when it crosses Highland Springs, okay? And if they just keep going straight all the way to Sunset, the real question is, what's going to stop them, who's going to stop them, and how are they going to stop them from doing that?
Yeah, those are perfectly reasonable questions, and I think that sadly the city of Banning has shown up to this point we can't count on them to enforce their own regulations. So it's a good question, and I will tell you, I meant to get a copy of this exhibit because I don't know if you noticed on Highland Boulevard coming south, just when you hit 2nd Street, there's now big trucks in a white circle with a red line through them painted on the road. So Beaumont has designated their truck routes now, and they've been putting up signs, and they've been putting up these markers where the truck lane ends. But the truck map that Beaumont adopted continues on Sun Lakes from Highland Springs to Highland Home and shows it as a dashed line as a potential truck route. I don't quite understand that, but yeah. Yeah. But I mean, Beaumont has no authority to designate that as a truck route.
That was my question, since Highland Springs is borderline.
Exactly.
Are they involved, concerned, do they have any
I know there's what the council calls a 2x2 committee, and I think Councilwoman Flynn and Councilwoman Barrington serve on that with people from Beaumont. So I'm not sure what happened.
You said there was a structure going to be put in place to stop trucks from coming
Right.
on Sun Lakes Boulevard
They-
this way. Wouldn't that structure also stop the trucks from going east on Sun Lakes Boulevard?
The way that they showed it, it would show them going east from Highland Home, but it wouldn't constrain trucks on the stretch from Highland Springs to just past Highland Home.
Is it a roundabout or what is the structure?
No, it looks like a big overhead thing. He called it a headache bar, but it's just a big overhead structure that then has drops down on it.
They'll keep trucks from going under.
So it should keep trucks, if they're trying to come west on Sun Lakes Boulevard, it should work. Yeah, they did, but still, they would have to put one down at basically, where the entry monuments are for Sun Lakes at Highland Springs. You'd have to put one there as well. So, yeah.
But it's not just the trucks coming in that's our problem. It's the buildings.
Yeah, the buildings are still an issue. The quality of life here will be noticeably different. I'm going to just go through these real quickly because I think everybody understands this. So for air quality, I just want to make a point about the air quality because everybody focuses on the tailpipe emissions from the trucks and, the fact that these trucks are eventually going to be electrified, who knows when. But there's another source of toxic emissions from the trucks that is actually worse than the tailpipe emissions, and that's the fine particulates and microplastics that come off the tires and the brakes. And yes, and those there's not any technology to deal with those. And then also we hear them saying, well, and they say this about the traffic, they say this about the air, they say this about the noise. Well, it's already bad. So, a little more doesn't make it any worse. And that's just such a fallacy because if it's already bad, any increment is significant. Did you want to chime in, Tara?
I did. We're going to take just a slight breather here, and I wanted to chime in. This is a lot of information. And this obviously is going to impact everyone here. It's going to impact the entire city. But I wanted you to think about what made you move here? The community, the views, the air quality, the access to open spaces, all of it. And we won't have any of that left with this project. So, and something that Kathy did not mention yet is that this development agreement is for 30 years. They could be doing construction for over 30 years. So not just your generation, my generation, the younger generation will be impacted by this. So I just wanted you to take a break and really grasp the severity of this impact on every aspect of our daily lives. So thank you.
I don't think, there's a small group of people here. I don't think the mass people realize the significance of this. How are we getting the word out to other people in this community and other communities? Are they being educated like we are here? And how do we get the information out to the people that aren't really aware?
There's multiple fronts. I don't know, Tara, if you want to talk about what you're doing with change.org and Facebook, and then what's being done internally with the delegates to address the Sun Lakes community.
Yeah, we can address that. So I started a petition on change.org back in January. Change.org is a platform that anybody can start a petition on. Today we have almost 800 signatures on it. It is not a referendum petition, so it does not count legally, but it is a testament to the people here saying we don't want this here. I've included a lot of substantial information on the project on that website. So we're educating through that channel. We're doing meetings within Sun Lakes. We're doing meetings in Serrano del Vista, and we're trying to spread the word wherever anybody wants to hear us talk. So if you have access to communities, clubs, groups that would be open to hearing about this, we are more than willing to speak about this in other communities. We also have a Facebook group called Banning Protect Sunset Crossroads, where we're sharing information. And then we also have our new website up that has a bit of information on it too. And we are sharing through multi-channels on social media. So we are trying our best, and if anybody, has contact information or wants to help get the word out, we greatly appreciate it.
Well, I represent Sun Lake's Life, and I'm going to write an article about it that may go into the Record Gazette. So, I mean, that's a little bit more.
Yes, thank you, Linda.
And can I just add a little bit about what we're doing for outreach? So I live on the north side of the freeway in City Council District 1. And so I've been spreading information in my little HOA, much smaller than Sun Lakes, but in our newsletter. And people are calling me, giving donations, saying, I want to sign the petition when it's ready. And I've also been reaching out to people that I know in other parts of the city, in Council District 5, Council District 2, to get them on board for making donations. In fact, the first 4 donations we received towards the funds were all from people outside of Sun Lakes. So there are people from all over the city that are aware and that are supporting the effort and that are just waiting to get a hold of the petitions to sign.
When will the petition?
We'll talk about that later, but I mean, the earliest would be later this week, probably more likely the next week or maybe the beginning of the following week, but Chris can talk to you about that.
Can you go over the math as to how many registered voters exist in the city of Banning versus how many signatures we would need of registered voters in the city of Banning, so that we have some idea of where the votes might come from and how many are needed?
So I did check.
Do we want to just wait till the next?
Is it on the next slide? Oh, well, we'll talk about it when we talk about the referendum. Can we move on then? Oh, it looks like we have one more.
With the Past Alliance donations, it indicates on the brochure that we should mail them. Is that okay?
You can mail them, or you can drop them off here with Jerry and Robert Phelps, or there's an online portal if you use something like that for grandkids or great-grandkids school fundraisers. There's a system like that as well.
You can also drop them off at Tara Hagee's house.
Oh,
So,
and Tara.
that's me. Yes. Right. Our contact information is on the quarter sheet. Under community contacts, I'm Tara Hagee. And Jerry Phelps' contact is on there as well.
I notice your phone number has never been listed.
Yeah.
Maybe the bad guys are calling you, I don't know what it is.
I'm better on email. I'm just better at responding via email. But if you want to shoot me an email and I can say, hey, come drop it off at this time, or I can come pick it up from you because I'm within Sun Lake, so it's, not a problem.
Where is that information on the thing that's here? Oh, I didn't get that. You have it right there.
The contacts are on the quarter sheet small page.
Kathleen, also, everybody here tonight, for this meeting tonight, you can do it on Channel 10. And it'll usually start, some workshops will start at 4 o'clock, and then it goes on to 5 o'clock, and so forth. But
Yeah.
she's been fighting, not only for her neighborhood, but everybody's neighborhood. And when the planning commission said no, it's not good, it's not comparable, she still fought for us.
Yeah.
Just regarding the meeting tonight, the council's been really bad about starting on time lately, but today they have just a closed session at 3 o'clock, and then they have the regular meeting at 5. So they should start pretty close to on time tonight. All right, let's move on. So again, more impacts, the noise and light pollution, and I mean, these buildings have lights all along the edge of the building, on the dock sides, and they say that they shield them, so they point down, but, you know, depending on your relative elevation, and then just the general glare, these things glow. The other issue with the light is that most of these buildings, the roof will be covered by skylights. And so if the building is operating 24/7, they glow from the roof as well. And then obviously they're a strain on our infrastructure and also on our emergency services. They will block existing vistas, and they will impact wildlife. Obviously, this property is now in a natural state. And one of the things that was brought up late in the hearings, which the city is just, and the developer are sticking their head in the sand about, is a new candidate species called the crotch's bumblebee. And the city found it when they were doing the pre-construction surveys on the road extension alignment. And it's put them into a loop to have to get permits from the state of California for the take of that bumblebee. And this was brought up, Sherry Flynn brought it up in the discussion, I brought it up in comments, and the city is just basically poo-pooing the fact that they needed to really circle back on this project and address that in the environmental documents, and it's not addressed at all. So depending on what happens with that, it's a candidate species at this point, so it's possible when it comes down to the end, the state decides not to list it, and if so, then that goes away. If that stays as a protected species, and until there's a regional plan that covers endangered species in Riverside County called the Western Riverside County Multiple Species Habitat Conservation Plan. And that has provided blanket clearance for development in Western Riverside County, which has really been a boon. Because in the early days of my planning career, there were 3 species that were listed that really stopped development for a long time. There was the Stevens kangaroo rat, was followed by the coastal California gnatcatcher, was followed by the Delhi Sands giant flower-loving fly. And for quite some number of years, it was very difficult for any development to proceed. So these plans are a good thing, but right now that bee is not covered. And anybody who's going to impact that bee has to get a permit from the state of California called an incidental take permit. Before they start any ground disturbance, right?
May I? Another point about the wildlife is I've seen comments. I've been posting about this online for months now, and I've seen a lot of comments about, well, it's just empty. It's just open space. It's old farmland. It's useless. There are so many species that exist here. There's the burrowing owl. There's multiple species of bee. I've seen insects of all kinds. I've seen golden eagles. I've seen red shoulder hawks. I've seen red-tailed hawks. So it is not empty. It is definitely occupied. And if this goes through, we are signing up to eradicate a lot of species. And I don't know about you, but I don't want that on my conscience. So,
thanks, Tara.
I understand there's also an AB bill that just went into effect January 1st, called AB 98, I think it is.
AB 98, I believe it actually went into effect last year, wasn't it, Chris?
The cities had up until this year.
Well, the concentration area cities, which we're not amongst, and I think our compliance date is like out to 2030 or something for the truck portions of it.
And the air monitoring.
I think the air monitoring, I don't know the target dates, but most of that is out. There's some other air monitoring requirements under the AQMD for these warehouses. But anyway, all right. So I just wanted to, I think these two exhibits here, this was from the developer's presentation at the March 10th City Council meeting. And if you watched that at all, at one point he said, we're going to make this place look like Disneyland. And so then he proceeds to show these representations of what it looks like now. So this is down at the south boundary of the project on Bobcat Road, looking north towards the freeway and the beautiful mountains there. The next picture is their version of Disneyland and what you're going to see after this development. So this is a paved road. This is a berm that they're building, a manufactured uniform berm covered in, I don't know what those plants are. Yeah, and then I'm not sure what this little bit right here, I don't know if that's, I think those are the corners of the building.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the corners of the building sticking up above the berm. And that building is 150 feet back from the street. Because here, they incorporated a 150-foot setback for the benefit of the ranches across Bobcat Road.
And just, no mountain views.
No, the mountains, that one's 13,000 feet, right? It's gone.
Yeah, gone.
All right, so what happens if we do nothing? Well, if we do nothing, this project moves forward. And the thing that we have to do, and again, in contrast to what was done on Banning Point, did not have entitlements involved that were subject to the referendum process. So there wasn't a possibility to do a referendum against Banning Point, and the PAC Action Group, did what they could do and filed litigation under the California Environmental Quality Act, and that they just deserve props for all times for what they did and what they accomplished. The referendum process, we have a very limited window here. We expect the council's going to approve this tonight, and we have to hit the ground running tomorrow so that we can get out on the street with petitions and have our 30 days to collect signatures. And if we don't meet these very short deadlines, then this opportunity is gone.
How many signatures?
Well, we're going to talk about that next. So again, what we're doing right now, this is just recapping, we're working on informing and educating residents. We've been making presentations, doing social media. We're working to advocate for transparency to make sure people really understand, because a lot of people thought this was already approved. One more decision to make it approved. I talked to someone who spoke to someone in Four Seasons who were great partners on Banning Point, and they thought that it was already dead because of the Planning Commission vote. They didn't realize this was still active. And so what we're doing is we're utilizing this referendum process to make sure that the decision in the end reflects the scale of this decision and the will of the people. They will not be able to sign the petitions. The petitions will have to be Banning registered voters, but they can certainly contribute to the fight. And we're working on, Jerry was working on this before she became sick. So she'll be back on getting us organized for a presentation over there. And then I expect we'll get some contributions to the kitty. I think we're getting to you now, Chris. All right, so again, just the referendum process, very different from what happened with Banning Point, and I'm going to let Chris explain that to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Robles. I know Howard. You remember me? So I'm a professional political consultant, and for whatever bizarre reason, I take on underdog clients. That's right. Including myself, because where do I live? Ontario. What happened in Ontario last week? Massive fire. I just quickly on my phone, so I knew what the statistics were. So Kimberly-Clark, that was the warehouse. Now it was south, so it was on the border of Chino, near the Chino airport, if you know where that is. I live way in the north, near the airport, the Ontario airport. But what happens to stuff in the air? It moves. So it doesn't matter. I mean, that you're really close to this is horrible, but it's going to affect everybody because the air moves. And I had my councilwoman say, "Oh, you know, this project was a hotel." She said, "Oh, it's a perfect spot. It's right next to the freeway." And I got up and I said, "Air moves. We're getting pollution from LA when it blows in. So what makes you think that just because it's in this little spot and nobody lives there, that the other people where I live aren't going to be affected?" So don't be fooled by that. By the way, this fire was a 6-alarm fire. Any firefighters, retired firefighters in here? How big is a 6? It's pretty big. Yeah, I looked at the news, 175 plus firefighters responded. And in those cases, because I've worked for firefighters, they just let it burn. It's all about making sure it doesn't spread anywhere. So you're going to get the smoke. Now, I live, and I'm sorry for talking about myself, but I want you to know how invested I am. Across the street from where I live in Ontario, I live near Topgolf. If anybody, I see heads nodding. They put warehouses. It was supposed to be commercial. I mean, it's the same story you're getting here. It's supposed to be commercial with stores and some housing. And I would have liked to have seen a park for kids because there's nothing in walking distance in our area. So they put warehouses in. But if I drive through there, I can see one of the warehouses has tires. Imagine that on fire and the pollutants from that. In other words, you have no say what goes into these warehouses once they're built. No say. And these city councils, so this is my thing, because I did help them in Yucaipa fight. The cities make this, they show you the pretty pictures, right? You've got the pictures up there. And they try and sell you that it's going to be wonderful. And the big thing is, look at all the money that's coming in. Remember this, there can be big amounts of money once. It's not occurring regularly. Warehouses, most of them don't have any sales tax. They're sucking resources and giving nothing back except trouble and pollutants and so on. So there's no point to them. They're horrible. So the big takeaway is warehouse is bad. This gentleman here, stand up, show them your shirt. I saw that when I came in. No warehouses, that's it. It's easy, it's easy. There's just nothing good about this. Why do they do it? Why? Because they're lazy. This is my opinion. They're lazy, staff in particular. Why? Because a developer comes and they promise them the world and they just accommodate them. So as I said, the land that was near me, it was all farmland once. Some grandchild of the original farmer doesn't even live in California, saw dollar signs, hey, you know, warehouses are the thing right now, right? So I'm gonna sell out and cash out. And to heck with anybody that lives in the area. And the council just did it. They just did it, yeah.
They're Cherry Valley warehouses, been there 10, 15 years, empty.
Yeah. And now, so I'm thinking, what a waste. Why are you doing that? Well, the real investors, so there's a developer, but the real investors are these, somebody help me that's in finance, they're those, they collect everybody's money. Venture capitalists. Okay, so they buy all of these things and they can write them off. They can sit on it for decades and they write it off and it's still making money because they're investing in a broad range of other things. So, exactly. So, how does that benefit us? Where's the incentive? They don't even live here. It's ridiculous. These things are horrible. These things are horrible. Okay, so What am I here to do? I'm here to help you stop this thing. And by the way, I want to say something about Kathy and Jerry and Tara. So Kathy and Jerry resigned their positions on the Planning Commission. How incredibly brave of them. Yes. And I've done a lot of these. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I have to say Tara is the one person I've ever seen in 26 years that's completely on top of everything. And thank goodness for Tara. She's just amazing. So yes, applause for Tara. So as was pointed out, the referendum is a constitutional right. Does anybody know when it showed up in the California Constitution? Does anybody know? Little history buffs. 1911. Recall, referendum, and initiative. We all know those. They're being used constantly. But those three activities specifically for the voters of California were put into effect in 1911. And if you look back, if you want to go Wikipedia or Google it, massive corruption. This was the booming time of the railroads and the robber barons and all of that, right? Turn of the other century. So they put these in place to empower the voters. And at the local level, we have the same rights. And so don't let anybody tell you that exercising this right is wrong, because the city and the city council will try and do that. Oh, you're going to cost the city money, you're going to cause all these problems. No, this is your right to do so. And you shouldn't even have to get to this point. They should just be listening. I mean, how hard is it? And so it's interesting, the Yucaipa project was along the 10 corridor, so it was slightly the same and worse than the one that you have here. It wasn't maybe as big, the buildings, but it was still going to affect a lot of people. You know who it was going to affect the most? Not Yucaipa per se, because it would, but the people south of it in Redlands. These people had retired and purchased ranch homes. So one fellow took me up, he was up on a hill and he had horses down below and this beautiful view, like 360-degree view. And the last thing he wanted was a bunch of having to access the freeway with a bunch of trucks and have that as the buffer between him and the rest of the city. It was terrible. So believe it or not, most of the support financially came from Redlands against the project. And yes, in that instance, all the voters had to be in Yucaipa. But we were successful, and we had to do 2 because of the crazy way the city council moved forward on the project, which tells me, since it's even worse here, that they're just rushing this through. That there's no rhyme or reason, that they are bending over backwards, as we said before, to accommodate this developer. Yeah. And so here's the lazy part. Again, my opinion. The lazy part is, well, somebody walks in the door and says, oh, they're going to pay all this, and we can charge them all this money for the fees and all of these things, and look at all the money. Instead of going to look for somebody that's going to match and meet the needs of the community, the desire of the residents, and what's already been promised. That's harder, and they don't do that. So that's why I say they're lazy. And that's been kind, I think. Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, the problem is complicated by the fact of land ownership. The people who have the land now are going to listen to me tell them, you really ought to have a Walmart here. And,
Yes, that's another problem, especially large parcels of farmland, which we're getting here. He was saying that the owners, they want to cash out, and that's my experience too. And we do have, we are slightly, but no, we're closing this up. You'll see. So here's why I'm talking. So this lady said we're off topic. We're not, and I'll tell you why. Because earlier you asked, what are we doing to inform people? Well, we could do a lot and spend a lot of time and money. We don't have either of those things, the time or the money. What we need is for all of you. So we're multiplying you. So I'm giving you information to go and talk to people. Kathy gave you a bunch of information, but the takeaways you've got, go and talk to your neighbors. We need you to spread the word. In 30 days from today, basically starting tomorrow, we can start the referendum and collect signatures. It is a tight window. Why is it 30 days? Because if we recalled them, which is a little harder, but if we recalled them, we'd have 120 days. Why is it 30 days? Well, because in California, it takes from enactment by a legislative body, city council, 30 days until it's in effect. So there's a window for us to try and unravel it. How many signatures? Now I'm on point. Thank you. Thank you. I was a teacher. My students would get me off topic all the time, but I enjoyed it. All right. You have 19,858 registered voters in the city, approximately. And it, it changes every week or so, but that doesn't matter. It's 19,858. We need 10%. So you simply move the decimal point over, and it's 1,986, rounded up. But that sounds good, but we need more than 10% because we need a buffer. There's always, the signature doesn't match kind of stuff. All right, so to be safe, rounded up on the high end, 2,500 signatures out of almost 20,000. Now, that's not bad. But I've been doing this for 26 years, and I personally have gone out and gathered signatures. And this will be easy. It was easy in Yucaipa. We did it in 20 days. Okay. Why? Because everybody hated what they were doing. Now there was a slight difference over there is because it took them longer. It took them a year or 2 years. There was a lot of talk and buzz about the project, which you don't seem to have had here, right? This was definitely rushed through. So the awareness was a little low. That's why we need you. The easiest thing, number one, that you could do for us, go talk to somebody who wasn't in this room and tell them about this. The second big thing that we need is we need funds. Any amount, we need funds. We need to be able to hire the attorney, pay for me, pay for printing. I wish, honestly, I wish. My wife would not like that, but I wish I could do a pro bono. Someday I'm hoping that I will be able to do it and have a foundation. That's off topic. But we also need funds to print all of the paperwork and then to get the database of the voters and so on and so forth. There's a lot of components to it, but you don't have to worry about that. That's what my job is. That's what I do. But we do need the funds, and that can help. Anything, any amount would help and get us over the hurdle or the amount that we need. We need about $50,000. If we have to pay to go get signatures, which we don't think we might have to do, but you never know, then that's going to shoot up. They paid for signature gatherers, and it was almost $100,000 in Yucaipa. So I'm saying $50,000 here, but it was well worth it because it stopped. And the only reason, by the way, the only reason it stopped over there, we submitted on we referendized 2 actions. We turned them in record time. The signatures were qualified and valid. It came back to the council, and they put it on the ballot for June. So it would have been this June. And the citizens said, save us all the money. Just rescind it, because they can. If you present it successfully, they can simply rescind it. I have never, until Yucaipa, seen a council rescind it. They're stubborn mules. Why did they do it in Yucaipa? Well, if you ask the council members now, we finally listened to people. That's not why. The developer pulled out and left them hanging. So why? Because they did a poll and they found out they were going to lose. We would have run a simple campaign and they would have lost. Why throw money down a rat hole? So they pulled out, told the staff told the council, and after 3 requests, they did it once and it didn't pass. Second time it didn't pass. Third time it passed. So if we're lucky, that'll happen here. Otherwise, it will likely be on the November ballot. Now, once we turn in the signatures, we got the petition, we do all of that, there's a stay. Stops the development from moving forward. The city council's action is held off until the voters decide or the council rescinds. But I'm going to assume your council's not going to rescind. So that means, yeah. So that means it'll be on the ballot in November, and until the voters vote no, it could still be in effect. And it's a 50% plus 1, so it's not this 2/3 or any of that kind of stuff. Pretty simple. So our work doesn't stop once we turn in the signatures. We'll need money for the campaign, and if you can imagine a big developer, and this is what I tell people, if you're a developer and you've put in multi-millions of dollars, but let's say $1 million, just simple, $1 million, would you spend $50,000, $100,000 more to save the million? Probably, right? And we're talking multi-millions, and you saw how big this thing is. So they'll spend money to try and fight this. It is possible that they try and fight us now while we gather signatures. And they could send out a mailer, which we would not be able to afford to do. They could hire thugs, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, I mean literally thugs to try and block us. I've seen it all. It is possible because so much money's at stake for them. Yes?
So if it goes on the ballot in November, which is what we're hoping, they will still be able to be building and everything? Or
No, they cannot. So yes, right up until the vote. If the vote is successful for us, and it's a no, then for a year, they can't bring anything similar back. They can try and do something else with it, and that's what they're trying to do in Yucaipa now. And they finally decided to have community town halls to talk about what people want. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Banning, do you have town halls? Do they ever come here and ask you what you'd like to see? No, right? So, but things changed over there. They wised up. I believe that's everything. Oh, I do want to say one last thing, and then any more questions.
Chris, can you clarify on the 3, 10, and 30 day?
Well, don't worry about it. That's what I'll clarify. But there's a process to it. So 30 days is for gathering the signatures. The clock starts as soon as they vote on it tonight, and it'll start tomorrow. Okay, so 30 days. 30 days, yes. Now, there's a process by which we inform them that we're going to start a referendum on probably three of their actions tonight. And that means the city has 10 days to respond back. So we may get 10 days in Yucaipa. They did it in 7 days. It does include the weekends, so it's not business days. So it doesn't give us 10 days, it gives the city 10 days. They can take the 10, or they can just respond sooner. And then the 30 days start after that. But I'm just going to tell you, don't worry about that. We're going to worry about that, and we'll take care of it. Yes?
So the 30 days to gather signatures for the referendum starts tomorrow.
Technically.
30 days to gather.
Yes. 2,500 soon, yeah. But we'll probably, the 30 days probably won't start until a week after. So I'm on top of it. Kathy's on top. We're going to keep tabs on this thing, and that's why I don't get into the details, because you don't need to. You just want to know, where do I sign, right? How many are ready to sign now? Okay, right, there we go. I wish I had it for you now, but we have to go through a process. Now, when we get the petition, we need to do something like this. How many, is everyone here a registered voter? Yeah, probably this entire community. This is fantastic. So how many people live in this community? No, I meant a number. I'm sorry, not by show of hands. I know you all do. Only my hand wouldn't go up in Kathy's. How many? I meant 5,000. All right, so you could do it here, right? Now, I will tell you, the math sounds great. It is hard to get people because people live their lives. But it should be pretty good for us to get the signatures. Now, we also, here, and Kathy and I've talked about this, so yeah, we could probably get a good 1,500 at least from here, but we do want to go in the other parts of Banning. Why? So they know what's going on. So they understand that they've been sold a bill of goods, or they probably don't even know about it. And the first person to talk to them is the person they're going to listen to the most, and that's going to be us. So if you're able to help us go to other parts of the city to gather signatures, that's what we need. We need that help. Oh, thank you.
And just on that point, we do have people already who have volunteered from other neighborhoods in the community to gather signatures in their neighborhoods. And I will echo what Chris said about thugs, because I was involved with a referendum process in the city of Moreno Valley many years ago, and that developer did. There were literally thugs with megaphones physically keeping people from getting to signature booths. They were really bad. But the benefit we have here in Banning is that we have a gated community here at Sun Lakes. We have a system that's already mobilizing using the district delegates to facilitate collecting the signatures here. Serrano del Vista is also gated and very compact, and we're speaking with them tomorrow and getting that organized. And my development is 199 homes. There's probably about 300 registered voters there. So, and that's another, we're not gated, but it's a close community and people are ready to sign. So I think we can very readily get the signatures. We might even beat Yucaipa.
Yes, that would be great. And here's the good part. We can register somebody at the same time and they can sign it at the same time. So that's always great. Yes, sir.
When do you expect to have the referendums available to us?
Probably next week. Sometime next week. Like this.
Okay, so we are connected with the district delegates. I was informed today that not all district delegates have an email list. So if you would like to connect with your district delegate, I'd advise that. Or you can sign up on our email updates.
Better yet.
Yes.
Sign us.
And
sign up with us.
We have sign-ups up here. We have sign-ups up here. For our email updates, we will notify you when they're available. We also have, if you want to volunteer to gather signatures, we have a sign-up for that as well. And
I will train you how to do it.
Yes.
There's some technicalities. It's not hard, but there's some legal things you need to know. And I'll come and train you. So don't worry about that. It's time.
And we have probably about 30 people already signed up within Sun Lakes that are willing to gather signatures. Now, I'm not saying that so you don't want to do it too, but we already have a lot of people interested. More is better. Again, reaching out to your district delegates, Facebook group, our email updates list, and what? Oh, we have the website we can update with that information.
Oh, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
And here's the good part, all right? I already know, because I've been doing this for a long time, they already underestimate you. They completely underestimate you, the residents. They think they'll never be able to pull this off. So, I'll give you a perfect example, Yucaipa. 3 weeks in, maybe 2.5, I'll be generous. Finally, the developer hired some kids to go around to try and do this thuggy thing. They didn't really intimidate anyone, but they did hire these kids. They handed out flyers, and there was not much of that. And they sent something, I think, by text, and that was about it. So we were so far ahead that they couldn't overcome it anyway. And that's what we need to do here, is just hit that ground running hard. As soon as I can get you the papers, that's what we call it, the lingo, the paper, for filling it out, your signature. And anything else? I have one last thing.
We are working to get board approval to set up stations at the clubhouses for signature gathering. We have not gotten that approval yet, but I just want to throw that out there. It's in the works, and we hope that goes through.
That's fantastic. That I've never seen before. That's fantastic. Well done. Yes, sir.
Who would we make out the checks
To
to?
PAC Alliance. That's it. Simple, easy. And not to get technical, but there's San Gregonio PAC Alliance, which is the community group, and then the PAC, Political Action Committee, is PAC Alliance.
Thank you.
So they're technically two different things, but they're all focused on the one thing. Okay. All right, I have to, this is the first group I've ever spoken to. I just learned this Vietnamese proverb. It is so cool, and it's so perfect for here. One tree cannot make a forest, but three trees gathered together form a great mountain. And that's what we're talking about here, mobilizing individuals. This can work. Yucaipa did it. I know you guys are going to do it better than Yucaipa, right? Hey, we're better than Yucaipa, right? I won't tell them, but I'm sure you'll do far better than Yucaipa, and they were successful. This was an incredible turnout. Again, I've done this a lot, and this is fantastic. Congratulations to you for coming and showing up. Thank you for having me.
Do we need to wrap up at all?
Huh?
Do we need to wrap up or take any final questions?
We can answer some questions. We just want to finalize some slides on here. So this is our goals we talked about. This is the Stay Informed page. So we have e-blasts going out to groups within Sun Lakes. There should be more information in your May newsletter. There's a lifestyle article coming out in May. We had the change.org Crossroads petition. If there's more information you want to know about the project, I've done my best to put it there in a way that's easily understandable. Again, sign up for email updates. And our PAC Alliance website is SG PAC Alliance. I don't know how to use, there we go. PACalliance.org. It's also on the quarter page contact sheet. And we also have our Facebook group, which you can also connect with on our website.
What district are we in on this?
Oh, you know,
Is that from the council district?
why don't you go ahead and put your Sun Lakes district?
Well, there's a bunch of different ones in here.
For the council district, everybody's.
Banning council district is 3 for Sun Lakes, but go ahead and put your Sun Lakes district. That will help us organize better.
Is the Sun Lakes e-blast from here?
It's from us.
Did anyone have any final questions? Jeet, should we attempt to use the microphone, or are we good? We really haven't up to this point.
I didn't hear your question.
Tara's got it.
Just a question I have. The environmental report, does that take into consideration the traffic, like getting on to the trucks getting on and off Sunset? Isn't that part of the environmental report?
That there is some analysis in the environmental impact report, It's complicated because a few years ago, there was some state law change where they don't do the traffic analysis now based on those individual traffic movements. They analyze it based on something called vehicles miles traveled. In Banning, because Banning does have a level of service standard for the intersections, there was some analysis that was done. But it's very difficult to delve into, and then they never updated it for the changes in the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ajit's getting it for you. Ajit's got the microphone for you.
Oh, okay. All right. My question is this, I'm sorry, Congressman Ruiz, right? Couldn't we get maybe his support or contact him? Primarily because, we are a senior community. The air quality is a big factor along with traffic and all of that. And this being, proposed warehouses in the middle of two senior communities, if we could get his buy-in, wouldn't that be a real plus?
I mean, he's a federal representative, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if he would get involved in a local land use
call him.
issue or
I'll
not,
call
but if
him.
you
I
have,
know.
I
Yeah.
know you talked to him, so
Yeah.
reach out to him. It couldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he says I'm not opposed. I was just gonna tell them, even if he said I'm not opposed, that's something. That's not saying, if he said he doesn't oppose, Sun Lake's going, or the city going with the referendum.
Everybody, thank you so much for coming out and for your attention and your questions. Thank you. Oh,
Have
go
you
ahead.
heard anything about the gas station part of that?
So what
what's
they
gonna
were
be there?
calling a travel center, they have removed that. They had an intermediate plan for the additional commercial area that they say they're going to apply for, that they didn't end up publishing it, but I saw it. It was shared with me that had a gas station on that site, more of a standard one. The name they're not saying out loud for this big box that's supposed to be coming traditionally has a gas station along with it, although one of the council members did ask about that at the city council hearing, and the developer told them that there would not be a gas station with this one. So it's an allowed use, but we don't know whether it would happen or not.